Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
Hey everyone, this is Red Onion Randy. This is the pickup from last week's episode, my teen years. And I left you when I was in foster home, and I just started, drifting into crime, and said at that time, I couldn't qualify. I couldn't really put it into words, but my family didn't want me. If I felt nobody else wanted me, then I was going to give them a reason not to want me. So, I started to steal. I started to fight more. I started breaking into people's houses, breaking into stores and cars, and just doing, just taking what I wanted. Didn't care. I didn't have anything. I didn't feel that I was loved. I didn't feel that nobody gave a damn about me. So, and it took a psychological toll on me. I remember the very first car that I stole. I had just gotten out of juvie. It was a really short period. This is before I really started getting into trouble. This is, like the one thing that really kicked it off. And I was at school. I was at Robert E. Lee High School in Stanton, and I was only there for a couple of months. It didn't last long at all. And me and my foster brother Robert, whom I called Taco, he was a Spanish dude. Me and him, we skipped school, and we talked these two girls into skipping school with us. And there was this barn out back. And if I remember correctly, I believe it belonged to one of the Statler brothers, which is like a big-time gospel, bluegrass, old country group. And so we got the girls to go into the back with us and everything. And, we were doing our best to have sex with them. But it was in the middle of November, and it was raining outside, and it was cold, and they weren't trying to take their clothes off, especially from dirty, dusty old barn. And so we found a metal bucket, and I sat there and started a little fire in it with some hay and some wood and whatnot. We kept trying our hand, but that failed miserably. And so the girls like, man, screw this, and they left, and they went into school. They snuck in the back way and everything, and I guess they just pretended that they was late. And so I got a little upset that they bailed on us, and and I couldn't get laid and whatnot. So I kicked a little bucket of fire over. And when I say this is an old barn, I mean this was a really, really old barn. The place went up in flames. It couldn't have went up faster in flames if it would have been soaked in gasoline. It was that old and dry inside. So me and Taco, we ran around the front. And by the time we got around front, I guess somebody had seen smoke coming from the little bucket or whatnot, because the fire trucks were already on the way. And by the time they got down there, that barn was fully engulfed, and it was gone. There was no saving it. Me and him, we got scared. So we actually started looking around for keys, somebody who left the keys in the car. And we found it, and so we jumped in, and I was the driver. Taco, he was in the passenger seat, and we took off. And that was my first major criminal act, and it actually happened to turn out to be the car that belonged to the girl I had this huge crush on. of stealing her car. So as you can imagine, that didn't work out too well for me. It snowballed from there. Me and him, we wound up driving over the mountain and everything, and it was a Buick. I can't remember what model it was. It was a Buick though, front wheel drive, and we wound up taking it off road And we wound up messing the car up, and where it wouldn't drive anymore. I think we broke the drive shaft in it, but I'm not 100% sure. So we wound up making it to this little small country shopping center where you got like several different stores and like a bank and like this one little big parking lot area. And they had this Napa auto park truck. We asked the guys to come and look at it, see how much it would cost. We had a little bit of money on us, but not a lot. And we had nowhere near enough to repair that. So we was like, well, look, man, we're just, we can't afford to pay, man. We'll just have to call someone to come pick us up. And, so they went on back to work and everything. And we hung around there for a little while. But, after a while on school day, people started eyeing us real strange. So me and him, we just wound up stealing the auto parts truck. We wound up going to my grandma's house on my dad's side. And she wound up talking us into turning ourselves in and everything. And so that's what we did. And we wound up getting locked up. And he got out after a couple of days, but because I was the driver, I stayed in. And I went upstate to Hanover Juvenile Prison. And I got out of there. I didn't stay there very long. They released me to put me in this group home called Elk Hill. And when I was in Elk Hill, I did pretty good there. It was kind of structured, and I've always done well when I have structure around. When I'm left to my own devices back in the day when I was crazy and stupid and didn't care about anything. So, I stayed there for a while, and I worked my way up to where I could get home visits. And the very first home visit I ever got, me, my younger brother Jason, and my dad's girlfriend's son, we decided we wanted to go camping down by the river, which was a cool idea. It was a good idea. So we grabbed the tent and everything, and we went down there. And so as we set the tent up and all that stuff, and we're hanging out by the river and whatnot, playing and acting silly, you had a bunch of rednecks in trucks driving by, drunker than hell. And my younger brother, he got scared because he was young at the time. My dad's girlfriend's son, he got a little bit, but he wasn't trying to show it. So we was like, all right, well, fine, we'll just go call them and tell them to come pick us up. So we hike about maybe a mile up the road to where the store is. And when we get up there, we realize that my dad doesn't have a phone. We would have to call my grandma and have my grandma drive over there and tell him to come pick us up, and that just wasn't going to happen. It was kind of late at night. I don't know what came over me or whatnot, but I was just looking at the store, and I looked at them, and I was like, why not? We walked around back, and I picked up a log, and I busted the windows out, and we climbed in, and we just grabbed bags and started filling it with candy, soda, beer, cigarettes. You name it, man. I mean, we filled a bunch of bags up, and then we climbed back out the window, and we went back down to the river, and we started partying. We started smoking. We started drinking. Even though I don't smoke cigarettes, I was getting pretty lit off of getting drunk. And we wound up going back, well, I did, we wound up going back up there 5 times that night. And, I mean, we pretty much cleaned that little country store out. We wound up passing out maybe around 3 o'clock in the morning or something. And we woke up the next morning with guns in our faces from the local cops. And, so they arrested us and they started talking to us and everything. And I could see my younger brother and I guess call him my stepbrother or whatever, since they've been together for so long, but they were scared. They'd never really been locked up or in trouble or anything like that. By that time, I was used to it. So I just sat there and told the cops, like, look, man, them two didn't have nothing to do with it. That was all me, man. And it turns out the way we got caught was when we was going out the window, I guess a piece of broken glass had cut the bottom of one of the bags open, and it left a trail of candy and other stuff, sort of like Hansel and Gretel. And the cops just simply followed it down to where we was at, and while we was sitting there talking to him, my dad pulled up to pick us up. He was pretty pissed at us, but, like I said, I took the blame. The other two didn't have nothing to do with it. They were asleep, and that was all me. And the one thing that helped, in that situation was that everything was piled up in one pile instead of spread all around and whatnot. So I wound up getting locked up, and I got released and sent back to the Elk Home group home. Elk Hill group home, Elk Hill. And, so while I was staying there, I was supposed to go to court like 2 or 3 months later, but the night before, I was like, man, you know what, screw this. So me and a buddy of mine at the group home, we ran, and I wound up stealing a Jeep Cherokee from this house that was close by to where the group home was located. We ran for it up to his neck of the woods in Fairfax, Virginia, up northern Virginia, D.C. area. And we wound up getting called, and I got sent back upstate, to Beaumont, and they don't call Beaumont Gladiator School for no reason. All you do in there is fight. All you do in there is get in trouble. Learn how to do other crimes and just carry on, because when you're in juvenile detention, they don't lock you up for months on end for getting in a fight. You do 4 hours in the hole, and then they release you after 4 hours. So getting into a fight, there's no punishment for it. You just go in there, take a nap, and you wake up and you're ready to go back to the yard. And that's what my juvenile was all about. It was just about stealing cars. It was just, it was about breaking into homes and houses and stores and getting into fights in juvie, just, learning to be a better criminal. Just building that anger and that hopelessness, and it grows and it grows inside of you. And juvenile prison is one of the worst things that's ever been invented to correct teenagers when they get in trouble, because all it does is magnify everything. All it does is make you want to do it even more, because you're around immature kids. That's all they talk about, telling war stories about, yeah, man, I remember when I stole this car. I remember when I was with this girl. I remember when I pulled a gun and stuck this dude up, man. I got this much money, and I was on the street corner hustling, man. I made over $20,000 in one day selling dope. And, when you hear all these stories, man, and, obviously we're teenagers, so a lot of times we're exaggerating and we're lying, but you don't think about that at the time. You don't take that into account. When you put them around each other like that, there is no learning. There is no realizing, hey, man, what I'm doing is wrong. Because the fact of the matter is, you don't think about that. All you think about is that lifestyle. And that lifestyle is addictive. Criminal acts are more addictive than any drug ever invented, bar none. There is nothing in the world like robbing someone, putting a gun in someone's face, feeling that power, seeing how terrified and how scared they are, and have them give you anything and everything that you want them to give you. So when you have that kind of addiction, and then you put them around a bunch of people that know that same addiction, and they feel that same addiction, that same power, and you really feel alive. It just grows, and you want to do it more and more, because that's all we talked about. And that's the thing. When you think about something enough, you're going to start talking about it. And when you start talking about it, it's just a matter of time before you start doing it. And that's why juvenile prison doesn't work. It guarantees you're coming to adult prison. And pretty much it guarantees you're coming with some serious time because you've done some serious crimes. Because you feed off of that. That was my juvenile. That was my teen years. By the time I got out of Beaumont for the last time, I did try to make it. I really did try to make it. I tried to join the Army, but I was told I have to be offered juvenile probation and parole for 6 months before I could join. When they rejected me and turned me down, I really had no hope. I spiraled. I mean, I really spiraled out of control. By the time I went, and, I stole that Subaru Legacy, and I went and robbed the store, and I murdered Davis P. Chapman. And, I broke into all of those homes, and I did everything.
You have 1 minute remaining.
That landed me in adult prison. I mean, I was just surrounded by this black cloud. I mean, every time I'd look in the corner of my eye, all I'd see is like this evil black cloud surrounding me. And that's what juvenile prison does to you. It puts you in that mindset that you're screwed. I mean, there's nothing you can do. Unfortunately, your time is up. This has been Red Onion Randy, and I hope you enjoyed my conversation for today. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you for using GTL.